Hey guys, thanks for joining me on this episode of Flight of Fancy. I'm excited to introduce Sheila. She's the mastermind behind her company, SLH Events. She has an amazing vision and turns ordinary spaces extraordinary. So Sheila, welcome to Flight of Fancy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. But Sheila, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Sheila Hairston. I'm originally from Columbia, South Carolina. I now live in the world's smallest town called Mount Gilead, North Carolina. Been here about 3 years, and I hated every year of it. There's not Starbucks close by, so that's why, or Target. That's why it sucks so much. During my first full-time job, I worked for the Department of Social Services, where I do workforce energy and emergency assistance. And I'm a full-time aunt to a almost, graduated high schooler. I'm a wife. I'm a dog mom. I love the way you said mastermind of SLH, it's Event Company. And I am transitioning, to change my name. Well, it's kind of changed already, to Flowers by SLH Event Co., where I'm phasing out of event planning and going straight into florals and decor.
Okay, girl, I see you.
I know, girl. People be pray.
So, Sheila, can you just tell everyone how and why you got started?
Well, I basically was raised by a woman who loved decor and loved flowers and decorating and pretty much just helping people. To tell you the truth, I loved flowers, but I didn't really like them to the point where I always wanted them. My husband started buying them for me when we were dating. And when he used to, I'd be like, don't buy me flowers, I'm going to kill them. But I was always fascinated with weddings and events, not so much the getting married like most girls always dream of, but just the whole extravagance of it. And I've always loved fashion. And so when we got engaged, I found myself struggling to plan, really financially pay for our wedding, especially without the aid of people who wanted to tell me what to do. So it was a struggle for us. And once it was said and done, I actually had to cancel my wedding a month before we got married due to my mother-in-law saying she couldn't pay the balance of our wedding and at the Charlotte Museum of History. So we canceled it, and I had a whole bunch of friends band together, and my aunt and uncle were just like, no, you're going to have it in South Carolina. So that was stressful, but it all turned out nice, but just not the way I wanted it to. So after going through that, you only get one first wedding day. I mean, people get remarried, but you still have to, you only get one day. I just decided that, the process was fun, but I wanted people to have a seamless day and just remember really to focus on their spouse. And I knew I had so many friends that wanted to get married, but they just didn't have any money. So I basically started to help people try to plan, event on a budget. I never, thought I was going to be David Tutera. I just thought that everybody deserved to have a good event and a good wedding day. And so that's how I got into it.
Awesome. So how long have you been helping people prepare for their big days?
Oh my God. Jeez. I get really confused sometimes and try to remember how long I've been doing this. My first wedding that I did really was before I even started my business. I was helping a friend or two friends get married, and it was something else. So I coordinated her wedding a year before I actually got married. And then my first official wedding was I believe in 2013. That's when I started.
So I know you talked about a lot of different things, but you said you wouldn't be like a David Tutera. So for those who don't know who he is, can you elaborate a little bit more about this man?
Okay, so David Tutera used to have this show, and he would basically work with couples and do these elaborate transformations. I mean, amazing work. It would be the world's most annoying couple, and he would talk about how deserving they are. And he would transform rooms, like he'd turn a regular like gym into an enchanted forest. And I used to be so like, oh my God, overwhelmed and wowed by the transformation. And to tell you the truth, why David Tutera was an awesome person, he had this black assistant. I cannot remember her name. Maybe it was Tanya. But she was the one that was doing all the grunt work and like really, you know, his main person that he depended on. So it started out with him, and then after that, Say Yes to the Dress transition. And David kind of transitioned out, but he was doing other things like, you know, like pop-up weddings. And he, I really like him because he dove into like designing wedding dresses and then like head pieces. And he has this whole line of like wedding decor and that kind of stuff. But since then, I've had people of color to actually look up to. So I feel like he paved the way kind of because he, you know, Diane Valentine was on his show a couple times. And then Preston Bailey and all of those names. So
Yeah, I do remember watching that show. I can't remember like what channel it was. Was it like Lifetime or like TLC or something? I don't know.
like OWN or Lifetime or something. Yeah, it was one of those like OWN or Lifetime or TLC, one of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, and I do also remember Say Yes to the Dress. And then there is this one other wedding show. I mean, some people find it annoying, but I think it's pretty hilarious. Bridezilla.
Yes, I love that show. And I had lived that show, not as a bride. I was anti-bridezilla, but I you know, actually, I have friends and I know of people who are more groomzillas than bridezillas.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, that must be the new trending groomzillas.
That is too funny. But I know you talked about some of the names in the industry, but aside from them, are there any other people that influence you or anyone that you look up to?
I found that while it's great to follow the very like well-known and like commercial planners and florists, but that's how it is. You know, that everybody knows. I've actually found a good support system in local planners and florists, people in the state of North Carolina that are not judgmental. They're more nurturing. One of my mentors is Lance Lamar of Designs by Devereaux. He is amazing. My friend Danielle, she owns it's Studio 2053 and florals in California. I know I met her through like this planner group and we became like BFFs. That's my girl. I love her. Shout out to you, Danielle. My Dare to Design experience, that's the floral workshop I went through Lance, and Courtney Angelica. I spell her name. I say her name incorrectly every time. We're in a chat and all of them are so supportive. And just a lot of Joanna Little of Onisi's Janine Cargo of Cargo & Co. event. She also owns Gavin Christensen Bridal. I mean, Black Girl Bridal Shop in Cary, North Carolina, girl. I gotta give it hats out to her. She has a lot of hats. But just I keep my network small of close people that I feel like I can trust. My friends who hear me like scream during wedding season and wedding week, which I'm in now. I have a wedding this weekend. So just local people. Ellie B, she's more than local. I mean, she's major. She has her own magazine, the B Collective magazine. She has her own awards, EJ. Just all of those people. This guy named Dexter and Nadia Simone. They're out of Houston. They did the floor workshop with us, and I can just reach out to a lot of people. But in this industry, it's kind of cutthroat. So it's like keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Yeah, and that sucks sometimes, but I get it. We're all in the same business, like same arena, but just because you reach out to them for support or help doesn't mean that I'm trying to steal something from you, because at the end of the day, it could turn out totally different. Because I was talking to my boyfriend about this, and he was making a comment about, somebody like trying to copy him. And I said, that's cool, but it's not going to matter because you're two different people and it's going to be totally different. So you
Right,
should kind of be flattered a little bit about it.
right. And they started oh my god, I cannot remember her name, but she's all through the industry we say community over competition, and it's become like a huge hashtag. I forgot the girl who started it. It's on Instagram. But I live by that. It's community over competition, because like now I could reach out to somebody and be like, hey, does anybody have any like white roses for the weekend, which I'm not doing flowers, but still. And I have like 5 people I know, be like, yeah, girl, just come to Greensboro and get them, or meet me, blah, blah, blah. But there are people out there that do think that they're the only ones with idea. I strongly believe that, hydrangeas are not groundbreaking for a wedding. And then once I read this girl named Caitlin James, she's a well-known photographer in Virginia, and I remember her saying about her photography and her presets, and she was like, once it's on Instagram or social media, it's no longer new. Some of us actually have that same talents, but like you said, it reaches different people. Like my air is, I don't want to do 200,000 or 1,000 or celebrity weddings. I want to reach the people that work every day, 40 hours a week. Sometimes their rent might be a day late, but they still want to get married. They still want flowers.
Yeah, no, I really like that concept, community over competition. I just feel like if we were to instill that a little bit more, we can definitely be able to be in a position to help people versus try to tear them down. Um, and I will say my network is growing, and I can say I can attribute that to a former neighbor of mine. Obviously, we connected, or like we reconnected because they had moved. But since, hanging with her, she was actually on a previous episode, but hanging with her and her husband, things are starting to move in, different directions. And, she's just really big on trying to help people and help them be successful, which I think is really huge because in this industry, or any industry, like you mentioned, it can be cutthroat. So it's just kind of nice to have, some helping hands along the way.
Right. And I'm definitely like one of those people, because when I know I'm about to be like over my head, like if somebody is like, hey, I have this wedding next year, I got $100,000 worth of floor installations from the ceiling, making it look like Neverland. I know I've never done anything like that, so I reach out and be like, hey, can I subcontract you for these flowers? Can I do this? Can I do that? You have to know your talents. You have to know what you bring to the table. And sometimes when you bring other people to the table, they're like, hey, I'm doing this time, but I'm going to teach you how to do it next time. You got to be open to networking, and we all have to start someplace. You just have to trust your gut. Like, okay, hey, this is new. This person, are they really trying to help me, or are they not trying to help me? Are they trying to embarrass me? Why they help me? We all have something to gain from helping. Awesome that your neighbor like hooked you up.
Right, right. I know, because it's like she really didn't have to do that, but I definitely appreciate her for that. So shout out to you, Deb.
That's sister friend network.
Yeah, I like that sister friend network. But it's just like nice to just be around people who have like, similar goals and aspirations and stuff like that. Because I mean, I know we all have a like different types of friends, all that, you know what I mean? But like when somebody's just being negative 24/7, like who the hell really wants to be around that? So, it's just kind of nice to have people that are motivating, inspiring, that someone you can talk to or whatever the case may be. Like it's just good to have those type of people around you.
Right. And it's, I like to tell people, like, somewhere during, like, grad school or undergrad, I became a pessimist. I don't know, I guess it's just different life events that happen. But as an adult, and, now that I've reached this new age, this new decade of life, I'm aware of when I can catch myself from being negative, because different things like throughout the day can turn you into that person. And a lot of times I'm just like, hey, I got to check myself. Like, things are bad, but they're not going to be bad that long. They can be bad long, but it's not forever. So I try not to be that person. In all actuality, you're preparing yourself to be let down just because of the way people have treated you or things have worked out. So sometimes I get into the mindset, but like, come on, girl, we're going to have us a good day. Check that junk at the door. You're not taking no mess, but have fun. So I can be the negative Nancy sometimes, but I don't want to be negative Nancy all the time. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it happens, right? It's called life, right? But I mean, you just have to be able to switch that mindset so we can just kind of move on with the day so it won't affect you. I mean, I'm trying to be real. I really am trying to work on myself, and being self-aware is a big aspect, and it's definitely something that not all of us have. But I'm just really trying to move forward every day. I'm trying to get into my spirituality, reading my Bible, more or less the Bible app, I should say.
Get that Bible app.
And just trying to work those plans. But it's just all about what steps and what works for you. So you can just be better.
I feel you, girl. That spirituality thing. I done had to pray about that. And my husband is a whole pastor. And I have to be like, look, this ain't got nothing to do with God. This has, to do all with me. Especially the way the world is now, you just gotta keep pressing on. And sometimes even when you are, faking it to make it throughout the day, when you're trying to pull yourself up, but it's just not working. Like, a lot of times I'll share inspirational stuff on, like, my Facebook. I'm on Facebook like I ain't got no job. I hope I'm not friends with anybody at work. So it's just like, well, no, they quit. So I hope nobody ever tells my supervisor I'm always sharing stuff. But a lot of times I'm having those bad days, and I see somebody post something motivational, and I have to share it. And then somebody will be like, I'm so glad you posted it. This helped me. And then I'm in a better mood. So sometimes when you can't bring yourself out of it, you bring somebody else out of it. That I do know.
Right. Because it's like you never know who you can inspire just with one simple post or one word or something like that. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about, trying to be a better person, right?
Yeah.
But what advice do you have for someone who is either starting their business or someone who's thinking about starting their business?
Oh my God, how much time do we have for this question?
As much as you want.
I want to be open and honest about this, and be truthful. I started my business the wrong way. It was ass backwards. But I didn't do my research. And I got weddings. It wasn't constant, but I got weddings, and I had orders to do decor. But I went to a business class that was offered free by this girl named Chisa Brown Penix. She is with the business. The local business thing. I forgot what it's called. At GTCC, and she was having these at the Greensboro Library downtown, and I started going. I'm like, I ain't got no business. I got a dream and a goal that I ain't reached. Because I realized I didn't have I didn't have a plan put in place. I didn't have a business plan, even though I had to do one for like grad school. I didn't have one for my business. I realized I wasn't paying myself. I wasn't charging enough. I was basically giving free services away and thinking because I got some money that it was enough. I didn't have the accounting stuff right. I didn't have an LLC. Girl, it was just a mess. All I knew was I was helping people, and I was tired at the end of the day. So I would tell people, before you start, get at least an LLC or whatever you're going to choose, whichever way you're going to go. Go ahead and make sure you have a service that people want. If you want to paint hermit crab shells, then you make sure anybody else doing it around you like you are doing it, and do your research. Get that stuff. Find you a good network. That's super important. Find somebody that's not going to judge you because you are new and you don't know where to go to get an LLC, or you didn't know what you thought STD stand for, sexually transmitted disease, and not save the date.
Oh my God, I hate your whole life right now.
That wasn't me. I promise you. That kind of stuff. Know your market. Know your area of, even if you're not an expert, know enough so that if you get in a crowded room at a networking event, people aren't looking at you and you like, oh, do you have a business card? And you're like, oh no, I just ordered my Vistaprint and I'm waiting on him to come. That was me. At the beginning, but I had girls in the room be like, girl, don't ever come to another event without your business card. Take on my business card, reach out to me, tell me what you need. Or I had one girl, Janine from Cargo & Co. Events, and Sean Eggleston from Winston-Salem. They were two girls at my first wedding network event in Cary, of a bunch of room of half stuck up people, and they were like, girl, look, they got a coupon, go here. Next time I see you, you better have a card. Call me on Monday. We're going to talk about what you need. People who, even when they've made it or made it further than you have, they can still help you get there and not feel threatened. I'm in the industry where a lot of time I see people picking on newbies. And not because, of course we'd be like, oh my God, girl, you doing that for $200? No, because somebody found something that they did nice and that's not your cup of tea, but you don't downgrade them. You got to make sure you get a good network. And that's in any business, not just in wedding planning. You got to make sure you got a good network and you do your research.
No, I totally like the way that you were just completely open and honest about, the mistakes that you made, because a lot of times we just want to present our best selves, which, in most cases is a good look. But when it comes to business and just wanting to be able to help somebody out, it's good to, share the good, the bad, the ugly, so then that way you're still growing, but the next person that's looking to build their business can learn from what was done to help them avoid those situations. So I definitely appreciate that, and I'm sure my listeners will too. But yeah, I just really think that was really dope how you just opened up. I mean, my first episode was called Root for Failure. I opened up about how I lost my job, or I got fired more or less. But it was a struggle, but I made it, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But I just feel like if we could be a little more honest about certain things that we go through, it would just help the next person a little better.
The thing about it is, even if you are faking it till you make it, your ignorance in your business or in your field will always catch up to you if you continue to be ignorant about it. Eventually you will get that client that knows a little bit more about what the service you offer, and they'll see the things that you lack. You want to make sure you know enough to, even if they know what they're talking about, you know how to give enough time and be like, I'm going to check on that and see, if I, can find such and such and such, because there are clients that do more research than people who are offering the service. Clients want stuff that even they can't afford, but they want you to offer. So you don't want them to always be one step ahead of you. And the best thing about it is, you'll get clients who know nothing about it. So you educate them, and then they figure out that, yeah, I should pay her this money to, do this because I don't know how to do it, or I don't have time to do it, or I don't want to do it. What's helped me out the most with being a business owner is like when I wanted to quit, not only did God send signs like himself for me not to quit, but God sent other people to tell me that. And I needed that. I couldn't pull myself out of the bootstraps of being like last year before I went to that floral workshop, I went in there knowing that I was quitting. Like, no more event planning, no more florals, nothing. I was in a bad place, not only as a business owner, but, in my life was in turmoil. And I did what I loved. I played around with some flowers. We did this shoot. And while people were giving me criticism, it was constructive criticism. Like, hey, I like the way you're doing that, but if you tighten this up and do it, look how it turned out. There were teachable moments, and you have to be willing to learn always, because there's always somebody that knows more. There's always somebody that's better. There's always somebody that doesn't make mistakes, or they know how they figured out something before you did. And the one thing I want to tell people is, like, you don't have to pay thousands of money to do a business. Know that teachable moments are for everybody. So when you learn something, pass it on to somebody else. Don't be one of people be like, oh, you're a newbie, I don't have time for you. Take time to teach somebody else.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you on that one.
I promise you, anything you give away will be returned to you 10,000-fold.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. People are just afraid to give out information because I feel like they fear the competition. But there is just so many people in this world, and some people decide to stick with what they're going to do. Some do excel, but there's enough knowledge to go around, like, more than once. So, just like when people first get started, they don't know everything, and they definitely have to reach out to somebody. I mean, you don't always have to give them everything, but at least give them a starting point to help them. Also, being self-aware, there's, like you said, there's workshops and all of that, which you did to help better yourself. So sometimes we just get kind of complacent, and so we think we're okay. But being able to learn and grow can just help you get better and just provide that great service.
Exactly. And my thing is, when we're all said and done, and we decide to pack up our bags, pack up our business, quit, go on to other things, you never know when you got to reach out back to them people. Like, I have students and former, like, my babies from higher ed. I've been out of higher ed for at least, 4 years now. And those kids still reach out to me. They're adults, girl, making 6 figures, etc. They still texting me, and I'm working my little, henny penny job, 40 hours a week, and they still texting me, asking me stuff. A good testimony was, I worked with this girl when I was in graduate school during the summer. She actually was like a junior counselor, I think, and I was a teacher at this camp that UNCG did. We go to like 5 different colleges over the summer. So years go down the road, I'm at a wedding vendor event at some barn in Thomasville or something, and I see her there, and I walk up to her, and I'm like, I know you. She said, I know you too. And I was like, what's your name? And she was like, Shauna. What's your name? I said, Sheila. She was like, yeah. She was like, we used to work, we worked together. She was like, did you work at All Arts and Science Camp? I'm like, yes, that's why I know you. I was like, what? She's like, what are you doing here? I was like, I own an event planning company. I just came to check it out. I know a friend that's got something here. Me and my friends on a product. We just walked around and see what's up. She said, I'm getting married. I said, that's great. And we were just talking about the wedding. I actually didn't push my business on her or anything. And she was like, let me get your information. I'm like, okay, girl. She called me like a week later and was like, hey, I need a day of person. I need somebody to do florals. I saw your page. I like your work. I know you. I trust you because I remember from working with you. Will you, can we do a contract? Not being pushy. I'm not a good salesperson, which is bad for a business. However, yeah. Wasn't pushy, wasn't being like, hey, have you ever thought about doing... Nope, just talking to her and her remembering how I was to her years ago when she was like, a young adult. And, I mean, yeah, like still keep in contact with her. In fact, I just finished looking at her pictures. They've had a baby. She has another baby on the way, like that kind of stuff.
Yep, that is so true. You just never know what, turn of events could definitely happen. But I know we've been talking about a lot of good advice and different strategies and all that stuff, but what podcast or books or magazines are you referencing, or what helps to keep you motivated or inspired to create these events?
Oh my God, girl, I'm really bad with podcasts. So I really do pay attention to Heather Lindsay's Pinky Promise. She just has some gems. And not because I'm doing a Pinky Promise, because when I'm married and I don't have to be celibate, and I'm not looking for my Boaz. But I like the gems and the motivational things that she's doing, plus her spiritual stuff that, like, she doesn't push you. I mean, she tells you the truth, kind of, but she really pushes women to be great in all aspects, not just motherhood or being a wife or a potential wife or girlfriend and that kind of stuff. She wants women to be whole, spiritually, physically, mentally. So I do watch her podcast, only snippets, because I got a short attention span. Of course, I look at all fashion things. Chanel, of course, I love me some Chanel. Chanel Instagram page, the Munalachi magazine and their Instagram, all the Herrera pages, Reem Acra, any fashion, wedding designer, fashion period. I'm addicted to them, and they're all on my IG. I follow a lot of fashion bloggers because they buy stuff that I can't afford. And they're sizes that I am not. Some of them are sizes I am. I love them too. Of course, The Knot. I follow The Knot. Be Collective magazine that comes out, I think, every quarter. It's Black owned, and it's amazing. It's minority based, even though everybody's in it. But I'm just saying it's minority based. I'm just really inspired by just everyday things. I can see the beauty in almost everything. So I just go from there. I'm looking for good books though. So if you have any good books, I get them. Oh, I did read, or started to read, The Power of Saying No. I think that's what it's called. And that's something that I did have to learn. So I got really, really bad, even doing stuff for my husband and my niece, even my dog. Where I was so burnt out that I couldn't physically do anything for myself. So in the last 8 months, I have been telling a lot of people no, and they don't like it, and I do not care. Even the little couple of chapters I read of that was pretty awesome. It changed my life. Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a book I definitely need to get my hands on. I mean, I'll admit I have been a little bit more selfish these days, but I do have goals and things that I'm trying to reach and accomplish, but I'm not going to truly get there if I am continuing to cater to everyone else's needs. So I do think it's important to have that balance so your limits, so you don't get burned out that quickly. But more importantly, just making sure you're okay, so your needs are met. Because if you're continuing to do stuff for other people, that's obviously going to leave you last, and you're not going to have time for what you want. So I definitely feel like saying no is not a bad thing.
Oh yeah, I even had to learn how to take breaks from church, because I was very active at my old church, doing events and pouring my own money into doing events because I wanted to look nice, because that's my standard. And I got really, really super thin, so I made a decision when I got to this church that I wouldn't do as much, and which I started off doing very well, but then I realized that this church doesn't even want to do as much. So, and church people can be exhausting. So, a lot of times I'll be like, no, I'm not going to church. And I love it.
Yes, saying no definitely has its benefits and perks. And that kind of brings me into my next question. And that's truly, how do you relax or reset when things are going on in your life that's kind of crazy, or even with the business? So what things do you do to relax your mind?
This year's been rough, mentally. So my goal is to finish out strong, knowing my limits and what I'm not good at, and being okay with being like admitting it, saying I'm not doing this anymore because it's not good for me. I like to shop. I probably shouldn't, because I'm, that henny penny job, that little thing, broke.com. I wish I was one of the people that was force myself to go to the gym when I felt bad. So yeah, just, I need to get more into like doing healthy things to relieve that, stress and that kind of stuff. And even take breaks, relax. I'm not a napper, so I don't nap. But yeah, I need to work on that. So if you got any suggestions, hit me up.
Yeah, well, I've been kind of slack on my gym life, so I can't really give you too much advice in that arena at the moment. But weight training is always fun. I don't know, I love lifting. My season is currently over. I used to play softball like in an adult league on like Fridays, so that was always nice. So when I felt stressed at work, it was pretty nice to just hit the shit out of the ball. But low key, I'm kind of boring. I like to just sometimes just Netflix and chill, honestly, just chill on the couch and just binge watch whatever I haven't had an opportunity to watch. But thank God for Hulu and Netflix, because I'm living the no cable life, which I pretty much love. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much. But also shout out to my father, because I also watch cable, from his login. So thanks, Dad.
Yeah. That's what dads are for.
True. But yeah, I mean, these days I'm just a lot more low key, I guess. But Shiloh, what struggles or successes have you experienced since creating your business?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I turned 40 last year, and I realized I've had just as many decades of stressful life as I've had as non-stressful life. So dealing with stress as an adult is overpowering. I am looking into a therapist that my insurance will cover, because I have no extra money for one. Or at least a support group, just a group of people being like, hey girl, I'm stressed too. Measuring your accomplishments next to what you see on social media can definitely be like put you in a mood of depression and not being motivated. I spend a lot of time, even this year, but not as much. I've gotten better with it over the last 2 years. Just comparing myself, being the person I don't want to be. Like, I don't want to be like, her work's not even good and she getting clients, but I found myself being like that. I had to push back, I had to tell myself, like, have a real sister girl moment with myself and be like, you're still good enough. Even if you don't have clients, even if you go 6 months without a client, you're still good enough. Like, whatever it's for you, it's for you. It will come, and if it's not supposed to come, it won't come. Like, stop looking at all these sites that people are posed and poised, making it look all grand, because who knows, they might have gone into the bathroom and cried after whatever event. But I had this client, I was subcontracted through a planner, and the bride was a mess. Like, the devil himself sent her. her attitude, her personality, and she frustrated me so much on her wedding day that I got in my car and cried, like called my cousin for 40 minutes straight. And then we made it work even on what we had, and me and the parents spent our own money, and she was still not happy and dissatisfied. Like, my mental health was so bad that I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to everything you were just saying. I took the leap and decided to seek out a therapist, and it's been really great, to be honest. I've been going back and forth about it for a while, but it's just at some point you might feel like you really do need to speak to somebody. So I'll admit I was one of those, like, no, I'm good, I don't need to see a therapist or anything. But just having that unbiased ear is really good to have, because with the stress of regular life and business, and like you were talking about, social media, those things can all weigh on you, especially if you're trying to build something and you see somebody like doing really good work or whatever the case may be. That can kind of take a toll and effect on your mental, for sure. Because I was listening to this other podcast, Side Hustle Pro, and she was given some tips on, business building and all of that kind of stuff. And she made the comment to, not put yourself in that category with somebody who's been in the game for like 5+ years, because, they have already put in the work and they're where they're supposed to be, from all that hard work that they put in. So it's very hard to try to compare yourself to somebody else that's been in the game for a long time. But, with the rise of social media and all that stuff, it's such a quick access, and you can see everything like in a matter of seconds. It's hard to not want that for yourself. It is good to have that, as a goal, but we always have to reel it back in and make sure that, we're being realistic and we are on the right path to getting to where we want to be. But, mental health is real, I definitely did a video and I opened up about my struggles, and, that was really therapeutic for me, just to like be so vulnerable and just share about, the stuff that I was going through and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely seek somebody, or if nothing, like you talked about, like have a group, because it really does help, and I am a big advocate for it.
It's not like I never have been honest that I didn't need therapy. I think it just clicked for me one day, and I realized, first of all, being a Black female, you have to be strong through all situations. And we tell ourselves that, and I just realized I kept pressing on when I was just really just a zombie, like going through the motions, through my grief and through my letdown and through my job losses and jobs I didn't get and degrees I didn't get. I beat myself up, but I realized that I've never told myself, like, damn, you're really talented, or you're a really good person, or, you really got something going here, but maybe it's not the time. And, you deal with those demons that you put in the closet and never thought you'd see again. And it's like, it's not bad. We're to the point where I'm like, I'm going to harm myself, or, suicide or anything like that. But it's just like, I just told a friend of mine, I just wish I would have enjoyed my younger years a little more, when I didn't have to worry about a husband or a niece or a dog, or, finding a career. I just wish I would have had a little bit more fun. And you can't get that time back. So it's important to get in a good mental space for whatever time you have left. Because you can't even think, when you take your last breath, you're not thinking about regret. So it definitely getting your mental health ready. I mean, and like I said, this business thing, it'll play with your psyche. But you are a success because you have a business. You took the leap.
Yes, it's so important to just like start it. You know what I mean? A lot of times we always want to wait for the perfect moment or whatnot, but I mean, look at me. I am legit recording. Guess what? In my closet. So surprise, guys. But yeah, like I'm not in a studio or anything like that. But will I get there? For sure. But you know, I just had to start with what I had and just like get out there and get it. You know what I mean?
It is what it is. And that sound don't sound different in that closet. I ain't no using a closet. But you know, like people don't notice when they hear our voices unless they hear us say what we are, they won't know.
Exactly, right?
When I do weddings, they don't know. They didn't know. When I came back in there and helped my friend because the bride didn't hire extra servers for anything or extra help for the planner, they didn't know I had just cried in my car. You know, they don't know. We just get it done.
Yes, we definitely get it done. But I know you opened up and shared a little bit about your struggles and like your mental health and all of that. But you know, what are some highlights or some successes that you can attribute to your business since you've started?
Success, to be honest with you, is just sitting in it this long. Like, even on days when I feel like I can't do anymore and something clicks and somebody's like, oh my God, thank you for helping me, or I'm glad, you were here for me. I will be honest with you, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, and I don't know if I'll get a good review this weekend, but I've had all satisfied customers except that one bride, and that's because of herself. But had people repeat customers, no matter how few and far between. People are still referring me, whether people contact me or sign contracts or what, they're still referring me, and that speaks volumes. I'm still getting calls. I'm still getting at least one client a year. So, I'm still here. And even though I'm about to transition out of a couple things that I'm doing, I'm half reluctantly, half excitedly, looking for the future, what it has to offer. I'm not sure if I'll be doing this in another year. I know I'll be helping people, but will it be through a business or just me being me? Just like, hey girl, if you pay for the products, I'll do this for you. Because it'll bring me joy, I definitely did not do the planning and decor services and stuff for years. I've been doing that stuff for years, since I can remember, since college, making stuff for people or doing stuff like that or decorating for people. I've been doing that for years before I started business, because I remember in undergrad, people being like, oh, you should do this, when I was, even when I went to grad school at Avery.
Yes, good old Avery.
Yeah, hey, you. And I'd be like, once you put money to something, it's not fun anymore. No, I don't want to start a business and do this. And I realized once I did, that's exactly what happened. People love everything you have when they don't have to pay for it.
Yes, you are so right. Like, everybody wants something for nothing. I mean, I've kind of dealt with that and experienced that with, my lessons and stuff like that. But it's just crazy how some people expect you to just do everything for free 99. So I know you kind of talked a little bit about maybe transitioning out of events and then possibly doing decor. You were kind of weighing your options back and forth, but what do you see for yourself, like, for your next journey?
To be honest with you, I made a decision the other day, and my husband thought it was out of frustration from this weekend. But I had made the decision that I will no longer offer like day of, I call it wedding events management services, but no day of coordination services. I really want to let all of that go and just do decor and floral. Like, that's it. I'm really thinking about doing more stuff that's not really a non-profit, but doing stuff to bring people joy. So like next year at my church, I'm trying to get the young adults. I'm working on this in my head. To not really like teach florals, but get people in me to come where they can make flowers, and then we take them to nursing home, birthday parties for underprivileged kids or kids at shelters. Stuff that's more like non-traditional mission work, because everything that's mission in the church is like, oh, go tell the people about God. Okay, yeah, I want to tell the people about God, but I want to do stuff that actually is mission work. I want to go to the people who nobody goes to, and bring them happiness. Like birthday parties were very important to my mom. I'm like that too. I love birthdays. I love holidays, period. Like my office looks like a child threw up in it. So I do want to try to figure out a way I can cultivate and turn my business into doing something for other people instead of people that like pretty much want to dictate what I do. So I'm transitioning. I don't know what I'm doing. If we do a podcast next year, girl, I might be teaching Mandarin to cats or something. I don't know.
Oh my God, you are such a fool. I love it though. I love it. So before we get out of here, Sheila, can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
You can find me at SLH Event Company on Facebook. And on Instagram, you can find me at Flowers by SLH Event Co. And flowers is spelled the French way, so it's FLEURS.
Nice. Well, Sheila, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, that concludes another episode of Flight of Fancy. Make sure you like this episode and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. But until the next one, keep creating. Bye.